Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trisha's Thoughts. My name is Patricia, and today we have a friend of mine all the way from Malawi, Dr. Natasha. Natasha, welcome.
Hi,
And
thank you for
apparently,
having
she's
me, Patricia.
wearing Hello Friday. Can you just show us
Yes,
our Hello
you can
Friday? It being Friday
you
today.
can see the hello. It's a Friday, right? I sometimes I'm getting my days wrong. It's Friday, right?
It's Friday.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's because you're on leave, so
Yeah,
today is
I'm like
holiday.
holding on to every day, literally.
So, guys, today we're going to talk about purpose. But before we start, I would like Dr. Natasha to just give us a brief introduction of who she is.
Yes.
Drum roll. Doctor, all to you.
Okay, so who am I? I am Natasha Luesia. I am a Christian. I am a doctor. I am a team leader of an organization called Women of Worth Global. I am a writer, and I am fun. That's what I am. Yeah. Born in a family of two.
Okay. Firstborn or
I have a
lastborn?
younger brother. I'm the first. My brother tries to be acting like he's old just because he's tall, people. But I'm the firstborn. Um, but yeah, born in a family two, grown up in a Christian home. Parents are pastors.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're a
I think
PA.
in a nutshell. I'm a PK, a whole PK. I'm a whole PK. I'm so excited.
No, that's good to hear. Before we even start, right? Your introduction, you mentioned that you're a doctor. You are a team leader of an organization called Women of Worth, right? And you also mentioned
Yes.
that you are a writer. Those are like completely
Yes.
different things. How did you find yourself
Right.
in all of those?
I was telling a friend of mine that I think the only word God has in his vocabulary is jump. Because there's nothing that I can point at to that, okay, I started like this and then it ended up like this. Really, no. When I was growing up, the only thing I wanted to be was either a doctor or a lawyer. And
Okay.
so I think medicine won. Then while I was in school, I had always wanted to be a writer. I think my inspiration were my parents. My mom, for the longest time since I was born, has been a librarian. So
Okay.
it was always normal for her to bring books at home and read. And my dad is a writer. So I've gone around books. So I always thought, hey, I would want to, but I never thought I had those qualities until I was overwhelmed with grief. I noticed that there were a couple of things that happened in 2014 that I couldn't speak, so I wanted to write it down because I felt like my mind couldn't comprehend what I was thinking or feeling, and so I took a piece of paper. But because I doubted my skills so much, I would write poetry, and I would go to one of the people I thought, oh, they're good at their art, and I would say, oh, a friend of mine wrote this. She's asking if you could vet it. I used it for
Friend
like
of mine.
a month until one of them was like, this friend of yours sounds like you. And then I started coming out with it. So in my writing is when I found that I was learning how to affirm myself. And then I started using the word woman of worth, referring to myself.
Yeah.
So it was in medicine where I started writing, and then the writing birthed woman of worth.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. So I guess it's fitting that we're having the topic on purpose then. Can you please give us
Girl.
your definition of what purpose is?
My definition of purpose, I think it is knowing the reason why you exist, knowing the reason why you do things, knowing the reason why you think the way you think, the reason of being. Every cup, I try to use a lot of illustration. A cup doesn't speak, right? But it doesn't make sense when you take pap and you put it in a cup and you want to eat. Like, if they could talk, the plate would be like, and then,
it's not my decision.
Like, that's like, why are you replacing me? But like, it's the reason of being. And so when you fill a cup to the brim, if the cup had a knowing, it would know I've been used for why I was created. I've been used for why I was made. So purpose is the reason of being what you are or who you are.
And how do you know what your purpose is?
Oh, friend, you see, when you told me this topic, I was just like, God, even I am still trying to figure that out. Oh, friend, I've tried to read, I've
Yeah.
tried to listen to things, and
Yeah.
I feel like all of us have a certain manual that works for us because that's how God,
Created us.
fixed us, created us to be, calibrated us to be, tuned us to be. But for me, it's the telltale signs. So peace. When I'm doing something, I know it's by peace. I know it is when things are, say, I'm doing a particular job, right, a task. It's when things are aligning as I progress. So, but also that has like a downfall because God has been speaking to me that every hurdle you experience doesn't mean that you should stop. Sometimes it's just for you to overcome. Yeah. But like, I think it's like even when there's mountain that keep arising, I know I overcame that one. And so maybe I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
And I think there are people that can say, I know for sure I'm in my purpose. I think I am one of those that can say I believe 80% I believe that I'm in my purpose because everything seems to be aligning. But also, even while I'm still walking, I'm still questioning, am I still on the right path, Lord? I know there are different things that are coming that are confirming, but it's still a question of, am I still walking the right path? And I think that when we will fully know we lived purpose when we meet God and he says, well done.
Yo, okay. I didn't see that last sentence coming. Um, but I think also with regards to what you've just said right now, right? One of the mistakes that I personally, did when I was younger was that I thought that a purpose was one specific thing that I'm supposed to do. So if I'm living in my purpose, then Patricia supposed to be a tax practitioner, and then that's it. It ends there. But one thing that I'm learning is God works in his own ways, and he's created us to have different tasks for a different stage in our life. So maybe at this moment, my task might be I need to write a book, for example. And I might be an author continuously. It's an example. Or it would just be a one thing, like something that I do just a once off and then it's done, depending on what the stage is in life. So in that sense, I feel that purpose, it's your purpose is something that literally changes step by step, and it's not necessarily a destination but a journey. As you go, your purpose when you are 5 years old is not the same purpose that will be when you are 35 years old, because your task when you are 5 is different from your task when you are 35. And maybe then that's why, as you said, your life is just aligning. But there are certain things that you did in 2014 which has led you here. There are certain things that you did last year which has led you here. You have a radio show now. And if you look back, would you have said this is something that you'd have been doing?
But okay, the three things that I actually wanted to comment, and I hope I remember them, but I will say, okay, I'll just talk about that before I talk about that. Something that I live by is when God was saying in Genesis, let us make man in our image and likeness. When you look at God, do you see only one thing?
No.
No, that's his image, right? And image means the representation, the way something looks. So when the 24 elders in Revelations are talking about how they bow down and they look at God, look at his majesty, I personally think the reason that they always do that, it's not just repetition that they've been tuned, but they see a different side of God every time they bow down. And so they're completely always in reverence. oh, I speak my language now, so you hear Kuti in the middle. But they're always in reverence of what they see, right? Now, likeness means nature, similarity. So I've been made in the image of God, meaning, hey, hello, I'm beautiful. God is beautiful. But the likeness means because he is so many different things, he can be faithful, he can be the Lion of Judah, and he can be the servant. He can be the lion and the lamb. He is basically, that's who he is. He's the extreme of one thing and the extreme of another. But to me, I am not just Natasha the doctor. I am Natasha the writer. I am Natasha the daughter. I'm Natasha the crazy one. I'm the extrovert. I'm Natasha the introvert. But the hustle is finding the balance, because God is balanced without even trying, because that's who he is. But for me now, I have to know, okay, in this season, it's based on season and time. In this season, who am I called to be? In this time, who am I called to be? You get what I mean? Then the other thing I wanted to highlight was what? Well, I've forgotten. But talking about the radio program, Telltale Signs. When I was growing up, I remember my church called me to do radio programs. Like when I was 8. We would do this Christmas plays and I would be the anchor of the show. Like, I literally remember now. And I'm like, when the Bible talks about how as we move closer to God, our unveiled eyes see him, clarity comes as we continuously move along life. You get to see, oh, that's what you meant. That's why that desire was in me all along. And I think with life, you sometimes forget it, or sometimes you're so choked up with all the overwhelming things that you forget that you had this desire to maybe be a radio host, and you think, oh, I just have to focus on career. But I think that's the beauty of God. He still remembers that he called you for the little things, and so he brings them all together as we seek his purpose, not as we seek our own.
So how do you find the balance?
Well, Gil, I'm trying to find that too. I'm trying to find that too. I think I've learned that it's very important to rest, and not just rest in getting away and sleeping, but rest in isolating yourself and asking God. The reason that relationship with God is consistent is because he tells you, today this is what you're doing, today this is not what you're doing. And I feel like that balance helps, because we're also in a society where we feel we have to be everything. And I remember telling a friend of mine that, look at Michelle Obama and we're in awe of all she's accomplished, right? But every season required her to be something that now when she looks back, she can say, I've become all of these things. But she wasn't all of those things at once. And we have to be patient to be everything that we are, but in portions, in season. And so I'm a medical doctor, yes, that is the season I'm in. But someday it will resound more that I am a team leader of Woman of God. Someday it will resound more that I am just a girl that seeks God. Or someday it will just resound that I'm a girl that likes to sing and might not have the best voice, but I still do it anyway.
Same WhatsApp group.
So, you know what I mean? So being okay with God has this image of excellence of us, but we need to also be okay with saying, in this season, this is who I'm coming to be. Because at the end of life, when we say, oh, she was so-and-so, she was so-and-so, we weren't all of those things at once. You'll be a stay-at-home mom right now, and then 10 years down the line, you're a founder of an organization. We will still consider all of your life. And so we are in a society where we feel like I have to be everything right now, but not really.
So then what advice would you give to somebody who is feeling exactly the way you've just mentioned it right now, that you are expecting to be everything right now, today? I want to make sure my business is successful right now. I want to make sure that I'm the woman of integrity right now. I want to be Proverbs 31 kind of woman right now. Everything right now.
It's a lot of pressure. I think because I've highlighted how important God is for me, and he's everything. I go for counsel. I will call you, Trish, I'm experiencing this, and you tell me. But like, there is a certain level that I've truly began to really idolize God, because that's what he wants to be done. He wants to be seen as the only God, right? So to me, I usually I recommend that if you do have a relationship with Christ, throw everything else away. Because what we try to do also, and we try to fit what we think, and that takes a lot of energy, and so we burn out easily, because we're doing it in our own strength. So it's like God says, I planted to you to be a mango, but you're trying to sprout in the season of
Oranges.
guavas. Like what are you doing? So you're using more energy to say, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, see me. But God is saying, I've kept you hidden for a reason, or I've kept this side of you hidden for a reason, not just so that I hide you, but that you mature. Because God's agenda is for us to bear fruit. And when we birth anything out of prematurity, it will die. It's premature. So everything we try to birth before its time, we might be in the purpose of a season of our life. But then when we do it so prematurely, for lack of a better word, we don't bear as much fruit as God wants us to. And so sometimes, because God loves us so much, he will cause restriction, so that we don't give birth prematurely. And then we'll feel like, oh, this is so hard, but I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be. But sometimes it's really because you're supposed to be asking, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Is it what you want me to be doing right now? Is this the function you've assigned for this season, 2020 August? And then I think then taking time to actually just sit down and really search yourself. So you ask God, you trust that he will speak, and you take time to search yourself and say, why am I doing all of these things? Because God sees intent and motive, and some success doesn't come because we have idolized ourselves. And God is very, 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 very jealous about glory. He's very particular. And when he said, I am creating you for my glory, he means it.
Yeah.
And we could say all that we want, or that God is a jealous God, but I mean, he is the creator. When Nokia says, I'm removing this particular phone and giving you a brand new one, do you question it? No, because they're the owner. If you want to create anything, go ahead and create yourself. But unfortunately, we cannot. So I think also sitting down and searching myself and saying, why do I want to do all of these things? Why do I want to be seen? Why do I want to be heard? For who? And when you figure out that it's really just for you, yes, there's a certain level that God has called us to have ambition, right? Make wealth. I'm all about wealth right now. But I remember I was praying for a business idea, and then God gave me a scripture in Ecclesiastes where it talks about how God gives to man the desires of his heart, of wealth, but it's so it was actually Solomon who was saying, and it's so wicked that it's a stranger who enjoys it. And I'm like, well, okay, so I really need to check, why do I want to be wealthy? Is it so that I can gain a name? To whose benefit is that? Is it so that I can secure the future of my future kids? Yes, that makes sense, because the Bible says, and a good man leaves inheritance for his kids. So there has to be context of why we do what we're doing it. Is it because I'm under pressure? And if you're under pressure, you won't birth anything because it'll be under pressure. Two, yes, we say diamonds are built under pressure, but friend, if you have not been told to go into the burning fire like Daniel and his friends, you're gonna die. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. I would say trust God, go to God. If you're not a believer, I don't think I would give you any other instruction, really, because I truly believe that all that we've been created to do is to worship God. And we do that with the skills and the talents and the giftings that we do. And so if God is not your one thing, or he's not your leader, everything else you do will be for yourself, because you're not doing it as service unto the Lord. So yeah, it's going to be difficult for me to advise anyone else, because for me, what works is God.
Yeah. Wow. So
yeah, but also I know that's a journey. I know faith is not just an easy thing as other people have had it. I have grown up in a Christian home, so I didn't really have to go around finding what works for me. I found it there. But for someone who doesn't have this kind of faith and they have another kind of faith, still sit down and figure out what your purpose is, why you're doing what you're doing or trying to do. And there's a side of motivation you'll get just to do it. Or God has also blessed us with instinct. He will tell you, maybe this is not what I should be doing anyway. And that will help you. It won't help you quit. It will help you re-strategize.
What's the balance, or what's the importance between knowing your identity and purpose?
Oh, purpose is what we've been created to, I said be, but sometimes we use it more for do. Identity is who I am. And so there's sometimes, so for example, I could say my purpose is becoming a medical doctor, right? But who I am is my identity. I could be a lousy doctor. I could be a mean doctor. All of those are identity and purpose.
Yeah.
So identity is who you are by just being. I'm lovable. I am loved. I love. That's my identity. That's who I am. That's the nature of who I am. Purpose is what I'm called to do. I'm a doctor. I help wherever I can with Woman of Earth. So I think sometimes we get overwhelmed with the doing that we forget the being.
Yeah. Please repeat.
God wants to. Sometimes we forget and mistake purpose for the doing instead of the being.
Yeah.
And so I think the balance is usually, I think that's why it's so important to rest, because sometimes also in this culture we think we're supposed to always be doing. Do. You get tired, guys. The mango doesn't birth every season. No, it goes into rest, hibernation, right? It's
true.
Like saying every mother, because you have a womb, birth a child. No, there's a reason why there's 9 months of having this baby shaped. Then we tell you take 2 years before you have another one, because you need to, your uterus. Let me just, fun fact. Did you know that our uterus is like a fist like this, but it stretches and it gets a 3 kg baby. Now, because you think, oh, this is the purpose of the womb, let's just give it 3 kg babies. It's gonna burst. Like, what? Rests. Yeah, but don't mistake any purpose for identity. It can get overwhelming. One day they will call me, oh, Natasha, you did so well, you're such a good doctor. And then when I stop hearing that, am I going to lose myself? I can't be so attached to what I do that I forget who I am. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I think because of time, I'll ask you one more question and then it'll be the end of our conversation.
All right.
What advice would you give? Okay, so this question actually is sort of like 2 in 1, right? Would you give one to somebody who has no relationship with God in terms of, and they want to start a relationship with God? How can they start their journey? That's based obviously on your opinion and your experience. 2, what advice would you give to somebody who thinks they have no idea what their purpose is?
And these can be people of faith and people not of faith.
Correct.
Okay. For somebody that wants to start a journey with God, I think our generation or our century is the most flooded with knowledge, right? We have knowledge about anything, anywhere. When I didn't have the definition of purpose that I gave you, I have a definition of purpose by Google right here, right? So there's so many ways or so many voices or so many opinions that are given out there, so much information. So I think it depends on what it's quite a long journey, even if I make it sound like it's such a short process, but it's quite a long journey. It's finding out what you've believed all along and being true to what you have believed and not questioning whether that's good enough. I think that's the first thing you need to take. Then finding out, what do you want to believe? Because I know for me, I have said I've grown up in a Christian home, so somebody can say that was imposed on you. That's all you've known. But then I had to start taking the God that I believe in to task. And I would say, okay, so your word, and I would use the Bible. Your word says this is what you do. Um, you've shown it to my parents. My parents believe you. But for me to have that same faith, groundedness, or my favorite new word is anchor. For me
Yeah.
to anchor my faith on this, or to anchor my belief on this, you have to show it to me. And so it could be little things like, um, I I want a job, and then a job appears. It might not necessarily be that is the purpose for me, but I asked of it, right? And
Yeah.
God is, it's like you are telling your mom, I want you to show me you love me and I want you to buy me bread. You don't need the bread, but you just say it. And your mom brings bread, right? So little things like those, I started personally to start saying, I want to equally believe in you, but I need to believe for myself. So you take time, you find out what you've believed in so far, and then you take you take something that will help you question what it is you're believing. And you could venture into anything. You could check any religion and say, let me try. People have taken time to actually question every religion until they found what they believed in.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you to do that. Take time to actually find out, what do other people say, what do other people say, and then choose what you believe in. Because a friend of mine, this is the last thing I'll say, he says, if you have a Netflix channel, right, or you've registered for Netflix, you could be the one paying for it, right? But I could use your account and I would watch it. So there
Yeah.
are two things that we do: we subscribe and ascribe. The person that pays is the one that takes the cost, right? You subscribe to it. If I come and watch it on your channel, I have nothing to lose. I'm just watching, right?
Yeah.
I've ascribed to it. And faith needs something we subscribe to, something we're willing to take the
Hmm.
cost for. That is from Chikonde Kanyenda. Let me not steal. That is not from me. I've also just used it. But yes,
Disclaimer.
faith is something you have to subscribe. You have to subscribe to, and it has to be on your own choice. So take time to find out what you've believed in. Check and test every other water that you think is around you, and then decide what you want. That's what I would say would be the right way of pursuing. And ask questions. You are liberty to ask questions, and then ask the gods that you are pointed to questions, and then see which one answers, or who answers. Then for somebody who doesn't have purpose, and they're people of faith and not of faith, but they want to figure it out. One, like I said, so much information. You could just read, literally just take a day and pick up something. Just Google purpose, a preaching, a talk, a motivational speech, and listen what people say, and then start really searching yourself and saying, what stands out for me? And then I always say this: reflect. What have you been doing so long that makes you happy, makes you come alive? What is it that you are tired, but you look forward to doing the next day? And you're like, no, I would do this every single day. And it could be simple things like taking care of the home, taking care of your family, um, going to work and asking people, how are you doing? Because, like I'm saying, purpose doesn't always sound fancy. It doesn't always sound like a medical doctor. It doesn't always sound like a businessman that is a CEO. It really doesn't. We have people that were born 8 years and they die at 8 years old, and people are like, oh, they touched my life so much with their smile. You could be the one that comes in and brightens people's day, but as you go along, you get more understand. You get what I like to say, clarity of what that looks like in a bigger scale. But it could just be you're the person that brightens someone else's day. You're the one that gives help when it's necessary. You're the encourager. You are the cheerleader for everyone's dream. I know of a friend of mine who says, my purpose is to help others live their dreams. And that doesn't sound funny because we think purpose is me, me, me. But sometimes it's not always just you. It's the people around you. And so for you wanting to find purpose, take time to read, take time to listen, ask questions, and then take time to reflect on what in the inside of you. Listen to yourself. And that I hope that will help.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
And then take courage to do. Take courage to do.
That's actually very
Yes.
important.
That's
Actually very important.
Yes, yes. Don't
Because
just sit.
yeah,
If you're a business person minded, do.
do,
If
yeah.
you're an encourager, do. Pick up your phone and text.
Yeah.
Yes, God.
That's actually very important, because that's actually the only way you'll be able to know whether that is something for you or not. You know, when we have an image in our
Is what
mind and when we do something, you might actually find that this is actually completely two different things. I might think that, oh my gosh, I was born for singing. It's just for me, you know. Then I open my mouth and sing.
Like, friend, no girlfriend. It's for the bathroom. For the only. You can come do it in my shower, but not in the street, girl. No. Yeah.
And then I might think that I actually hate writing. And then you start
Yeah.
writing, and then you discover that, oh, actually. So sometimes your purpose is not so obvious until you start doing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr.
And when you get it wrong, you can always learn from that.
You don't want to go, do you?
No, I'm done now. I'm really done.
Thank you so much, Dr. Natasha, for spending time with us and for sharing us these nuggets. I hope that whosoever hears our chat will be able to not only learn something in the sense of hearing it and say, okay, fine, that's deep, it makes sense, but take something and plant it in their own lives, meditate on it, and implement and actually see, you know, if there's progress in their lives. One thing that we usually do is we listen, but we don't do, like you said, you know, or we meditate on something, but we don't do. And because we're doing the same thing over and over again and we see no progress, and yet we're listening to different advices, and though we think this advice it sounds great, we don't implement it. But the only time we'll be able to see the change that we want to see in our lives is actually when we start implementing these things. So I hope that whoever watches this, that the hand of God will be upon this video, and that, you know, it will bring change or bring encouragement. It will bring clarity in their lives. But as of today, this is where we say goodbye. Thank you, everybody who's gonna watch the video. Please do share, subscribe, and follow Natasha. Natasha, where can they find you? Woman of Worth, Tash, where can they find you?
All right. On Facebook, I'm Natasha Loresia. I have short hair with a stethoscope looking like a doctor. That's my page. On Woman of Worth, you'll find a couple of them, but we are the only ones with like a butterfly. Oh. And yes, a butterfly with little 3 butterflies. That's our page. On Instagram, Natasha Loresia, Woman of Worth _Malawi.
You had calendars for Women of Worth. Do you still have those? If people would like, can they get?
Yes, we do.
All right, great.
Yes,
so
we do.
All right. So then they'll just have to contact you via Facebook.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much, everybody. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.
Thank you.